Hi everyone, Radhe Radhe. So I totally messed up yesterday. I thought that was the last verse, but it wasn't. Apparently, there was one more verse. I saw this thing on the next verse that there's something happening, but I thought that might have been the end of the chapter or what. But then I looked and I was like, okay, there are 46 verses, and maybe it was because of the way the Gita Daily was doing it, where they mixed, I mean, like they it kind of combined other verses and made them longer and then said that they were 46 maybe, or I don't know what happened. But there is 47 verses, and then there is a proper way to end it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it on the other song. I'll play it here where I usually play it, and then I'll play it on the other one that I love, the written version of. Because that has the description, the translation. So I will read the translation from there for that. I will not do a verse by word translation for the ending piece. I'll just do the word by word translation for the verse 47, and then I will explain the overall translation of that one using that video, and you'll be able to see it. I'm feeling very exhausted today. This is one of those days where it's my decision to do this every day that's pulling me more than my inner. There is a word that a friend recently introduced me to. It's a Hindi word. It means ahetuk. Ahetuk is like that inherent alignment, that inherent nature, like waves will move on their own. They're not moving because they're supposed to move, or it's like it's just an inherent thing, and they're just following their feelings. It's like the water is considered very feminine and flowy and like that, right? So I'm very much like go with the flow kind of thing. um, I'm very much like water, I think, where I'll go with the flow wherever, I'll have boundaries, but then within those boundaries, I'll let myself be guided moment by moment by what my heart is saying and by what my heart is doing. So I don't even know why I got there. I've forgotten why I went onto that topic. Okay, that's so funny. I'm like trying to remember why am I talking about a Hetuk? I don't even remember why I'm talking. Okay, let's do verse 47. So yeah, today's is the final verse of 40 of chapter 1, and wow, I'm really tired, and I've not been sleeping well, so that's my excuse, I suppose. Yeah, from tomorrow onwards, we'll do chapter 2. And chapter 2, some people say that chapter 2 is the saransh. They use the word saransh, which means the distilled version, like, of Gita. But not everybody believes that. But that's where the differences start, right? The philosophical differences. Some people would probably say the chapter about bhakti. I think that's where probably the ISKCON people will say that that's the crux of the. I don't remember which chapter it is, maybe 10 or something like that. The Bhakti chapter is the one that is the most crucial one. So everybody gets what they want to get out of it. I'm very curious to see why some people think that chapter 2 is the saransh of it. And yeah, it would be incredible to really read through different people's explanations of chapter 2. That'll be amazing. Okay, let's play it. Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Mukta Jana Sankhe Rathopastha Upavisat Shoka Sampigna Manasaha. Okay, so what this means, the Gita Daily website doesn't have it. I couldn't find the explanation. So this is the Vedabase.io, Srila Prabhupada's website. And I loved his purport on this, so I'm going to read that. It made me so happy, and I'll tell you why. So this is Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya is speaking. So far Arjun was speaking to Krishna, and now Sanjaya is speaking to Dhritarashtra back. I mean, the whole thing is Sanjaya speaking to Dhritarashtra, but that was Arjun they keep switching back and forth. So that's something that I'm learning about the Gita, is it does not follow very clear. It's not like from A to B precise, like that you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. It's not linear. That's the word I'm looking for. Linear. It goes all over the place. So that's like it goes there and goes back in here and it goes back in there and goes like it's just it's a conversation. It's a conversational conversation. It's not a very like follow by the rule kind of text scripture granth. Um, okay, so Sanjay said, Eva Mukta Arjuna Sankhye. So thus Uktva, not Ukta, Uktva saying Arjun Sankhye in the battlefield. Thus, when he said, Arjun, thus having spoken on the battlefield, Sankhye, Ratha of the chariot, Upasthe Upavishat. So on Upasthe is on the seat, Upavishat is sat down again. So this is kind of going backwards. So thus Arjun having said this, Arjuna Uktva, after having said all of this, he sat down again, Upavishat. Now he's going backwards. So he sat down again on the seat of the chariot in the battlefield. That's like that's how it works. So having said this, Arjun sat down again on the seat of the chariot in the battlefield. And then the last two sections, Visrijya Sa Sharanam Chapam. Visrijya is putting aside Sa Sharanam along with the arrows, Chapam bow. So he put aside his arrows and his bow. Shoka Samvigna Manasa. Shoka is grief in Hindi. So Shoka, like his distress. Samvigna is distress, and Manasa his mind. So his mind overwhelmed with grief. So the full translation is, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, he sat down again. Cast his bow and arrows aside and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. And the purport here is so good. I really the reason I pull back from many people, their explanations, their purports, their commentaries, is because they start to say Arjun should have known better. That's when people say shoulds. I really get, I'm like, what do you mean should? Why are you judging the person for not knowing? If the person doesn't know, that's where they are. We don't need to judge them for not knowing or for asking questions. I am so grateful to Arjun for asking these questions, because thousands of years later, look at this, thousands of years later, we are benefiting from the fact that he asked the right questions to Krishna. So it's good that he didn't know. It's good for us that he didn't know, and it's okay that he did. We don't know what we don't know, and we are where we are, and there is no. I don't understand this concept of judging the person. You should be there. You're not there, but you should be there. What is that should? Why? What's the point of the should? We're there or we're not there. Accept that we're not there and learn, right? Instead of berating the person, you should be there. Why are you not there? So this commentary by Srila Prabhupada is very positive towards Arjun. It's very loving towards Arjun, and that's what makes my that's what makes my heart melt. I feel very, very happy and positive about Arjun. Or I mean, and I want to feel like that about everyone in life, wherever they are, whatever they are. There's no should. They are where they are, and so anybody who can show a lot of love instead of judgment, I feel happy about. So anytime I hear judgment instead of love, I pull back, and anytime I hear love instead of judgment, so this one is very loving. He said, while observing the situation of his enemy, Arjun stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person. This is the loving part. That was the translation, kind of in the purport. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. I'm like, yes. He's very kind and soft-hearted, and he's in devotional service of the Lord, and therefore he's receiving knowledge. I'm just, I love that so much. Okay, so this is the other site that I was playing with in the beginning, and it's it's very, to me, it sounds a little bit angsty, but I think this is how most of the Gita chant verses are being chanted. They're not, to me, it's a little bit like, I don't know why it feels angsty to me. But I really love their pronunciation and the clarity of the voice that they have, and I love the way they've written down in Hindi as well. In Hindi, there are many different ways to write down, because you can have the two consonants like merged together, and when in most places, in most texts, when they have it merged together, then they, like here you can see it's merged, two consonants are merged together. But for the most part, like here, they've separated it out. And yeah, I like the fact that they separate it out, because it's just easier for me to read in the Devanagari script. So I'll read this part, the last part. I'll play it. I'll not sing it along, because I don't know how to. Mm, that's it. So this means, thus with the words Om Tat Sat, the names of the Lord as sung in the Upanishad of the Bhagavad Gita, by the Lord. So the Bhagavad Gita is considered an Upanishad, really? Okay. In the science of Brahma, in the scripture of Yoga, and it continues. In the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjun ends the first chapter entitled The Yoga of Arjun's Grief. Huh. So Arjun's grief is called a yoga. That's interesting. I offer this prayer to Sri Krishna. I love this part also. Uh, we're offering our prayer to Sri Krishna at the end of the chapter. I want to play it from here as well. Mm. Okay, so we're done. Thus ends chapter 1. Shri Krishna Param Shri Krishna Paramastu. And this is the real end to chapter 1, not yesterday's end. But it ended so nice. I love this last line. Shri Krishna Paramastu. Okay, let's talk tomorrow for chapter 2, verse 1. Wish you a very, very beautiful day. Radhe Radhe.